so thank you.
Well, you're the police commissioner.
Yeah, well, just because I buy a shirt doesn't make me cool.
Yeah.
You don't need a shirt.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, you know.
But I want the record to show. I reimbursed the police department for these. So I wanna know. The other two didn't. Both of them didn't. I always regret that. I feel guilty otherwise. I know it's the smallest thing, I just feel guilty. I couldn't do it without it. It's a pride thing, I guess. I can't wait to have it.
I need a bottle of water. Be a lamp and
Run fast.
That's true.
Paul's meeting order.
Diet Coke somewhere.
You guys ready?
Yep. This is too small. You didn't get any cooler. Oh, sorry.
Please rise from the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for first responders. This meeting is recorded via Zoom. The recording will be uploaded later to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. There's no chairman's report tonight. Is there any public comment on any matter before we get started?
Yes.
Yes, please stand. Just go for the microphone, please.
Hi there, my name is Pamela Hale, I live in King of Prussia. I have family members, all my immediate family members live in East Goshen Township. And I was a volunteer at the polls on November 4th. While I was there, I was told by Ann Duffield and Larry Massaro that it was common knowledge that Barbara Emery had already announced her resignation to the East Goshen Board of Supervisors. Reverend Emery, is that true?
No.
Okay, so you haven't told anyone, your friends, anyone else that you plan on resigning from the Board of Supervisors?
No.
No, okay. So if you haven't said it, why then would Ann, what's her last name? Ann Duffield. So when we were there, like the moment that I met them, they came up to me while I was talking to voters that were about to go in and vote. And they came up to me and they said, "You're a liar." They literally called me a liar in front of people. It was the first thing out of their mouths. And then they introduced themselves. I was quite shaken. I still get a little rattled thinking about it. And I was embarrassed in front of the people that were voting. Then they proceeded to stay there for 2 hours, and every time I spoke to somebody, one of my main talking points I was there for my sister Michelle and John Herzog. And one of my main talking points was, it seemed a little unordinary for there to be 3 people on a board of supervisors for a township that were all from the same small gated and supervised, I guess, security, like gated security, community of fairly wealthy people above the age of 55. So to have a board of supervisor that is more than 50% represented by that was a main issue for a lot of the people that were voting, whether they were Republican or Democrat. And I honestly, Mrs. Reverend Emery, I didn't know your name at the time because my sister just said, another board member. She did not tell me your name. She didn't tell me if you were Republican or Democrat. I did not know. The main talking point was to make sure that the Board of Supervisors had an evenly distributed amount of people represented across the East Goshen Township. And anyone that I spoke to agreed with me on that point. And then when Ann and Larry came, like guns a-blazing, coming in there and telling me I was a liar and to my face, to the 2 people I was speaking to, and then for the next 2 hours, over my shoulder, behind me, and then also inside, telling people that I was lying to them about this particular talking point, Like, how would they have, why would they have said that you had stepped down? I mean, Ann told me specifically that, and I have been praying for you because I did.
It seems like a personal issue.
No, it's not a personal issue. I'm speaking, thank you. You can stand up in a minute. So one of the reasons why Ann started talking to me is because she thought I was
Excuse
saying
me,
anything bad about you.
just to give context,
Mhm.
I have been ill,
Yes, she told me, very ill.
very ill.
And I'm sorry, I've been
And-
praying for you.
And I think in the summer, when I was more ill than I am now, there was question about whether, what would transpire.
Mhm.
But there was never any, I plan to do this, I have done this. And in fact, I sent a letter to the board immediately after hearing the rumor that had been spreading, that I had not resigned and that the board, according to protocol, would hear that first in an executive session from me personally. That is the way it is done in East
Okay.
Goshen and most townships. So it would make no sense for the board to think otherwise until I gave them a specific resignation
Okay.
with a printed letter. So I don't think this is I'm not
No,
sure
what
what
I'm
your
trying to
point
say,
is.
my point is that the people that were trying to be elected were slandering me. And so, and basically saying something that they told me, said that you were trying to hold on.
No, just
and you
to
were planning
clarify
on resigning in
again, to
January.
clarify
And
again.
they told voters, excuse me, let me finish. They told voters, oh, no, there won't be 3 people from Hershey's Mill on the board of supervisors because the other person is going to be stepping down. She will be resigning. They told it with absolute knowledge and vigor, and they stood there and they said that to everyone. So are you saying that's not true?
I
That
am
what they said
saying
to
that
you?
I have not been,
Statement to make. Make your statement.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is
Alright.
if you had told anyone at all that, so if this is on record, then does that mean that the people have been elected have actually told something that wasn't true to me and
the
a bunch
people
of voters
who were
that swayed
elected,
votes?
I had not been active on their campaign because I have been ill. And we have not had any discussion about this for months, but they may have heard when I was in July, when I was very sick, that there was some question about my longevity on the board.
Okay, so you have no intention of resigning anytime at all, anytime soon?
This isn't a
Yes,
question and
Right,
answer.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay. We've made your statement. Yes,
It's recorded
it's
that
been recorded.
slandered in front of a lot of people.
Yes,
2 people of whom could have.
yes, we
No,
understand. You made
no.
your statement. Yes,
Well, no, it's a public comment. It's not back and forth, is what he's saying.
yeah. Any other matters or public comment? We continue with the meeting.
And then Flanagan, Marydell, Barbara, I'm pleased to hear. Regrettably, I had a similar experience here in the township.
Still not on the mic.
Pardon?
Still not on the mic.
The nature of talking behind the podium. It's a very similar experience here in the township building in polling place. As you know, the lobby is L-shaped. I also have been talking to voters as they were coming in and mentioning that if Larry and Ann had won, there would be 3 representatives from one area having a dominance really on the township. Larry and Ann came out here, they didn't mention anything in my presence of any change. In fact, their argument to people at that time was that it made no difference that they could represent others. Interestingly, though, about 45 minutes after they left, as people would come in, the opponent's side, not the candidates, the opponents, started yelling out, liar, liar, he's a liar. I had no idea what they're talking about. One of them came to me and said, Barbara is going to resign early in the next year. The supervisors know that, and by their logic, I knew that. Therefore, what I was saying was untrue. For the next 8 hours, I would get chants of, as people would come in, liar, liar, don't talk to him, he's a liar. He's going to tell you a lot of fibs. What this essentially was a cancel culture technique, an attempt at suppression of the First Amendment freedom of speech, because they were looking to shut me down. And on top of that, a bit of voter intimidation, because some of the voters, after they came in, passing this gauntlet, don't talk to him. He's a liar, liar, liar. Frankly, wouldn't talk to me. And that's fine. That's their choice. But it's similar to what the previous speaker was saying, in that there seems to have been a campaign of saying to the people working the polls, of voter intimidation, of trying to suppress the freedom of speech through this constant chant. Keep in mind, this was 8 hours as people would come in, liar, liar, liar. So I'm kind of backing what this woman was saying from a personal experience here in the township. Thank you.
Any comment, any public comment or anything else tonight? If not, Dave Lee, we go interim chief, police chief. Thanks, Dave.
Good evening. For the month of October, excuse me, West County Scotian Police Department handled 2,103 calls for service. Specifically, in East Goshen Township, the department handled 1,104 calls for service. Year to date, as of the end of October 31st, East Goshen Township, East Goshen incidents summed 10,991 calls for service. Year to date for both West Town and East Goshen Townships, the department's handled 20,279 calls for service. The breakdown of all of our calls in October can be found on our Crime Watch page on the Police Commission agenda packet. But just some of the calls that also handled in October included 15 animal complaints, 1 aggravated assault, which ended up in an arrest being made, 14 police alarms, 13 frauds, 19 motor vehicle crashes, 7 domestic disturbances, 4 death investigations, 11 harassment incidents, 8 suspicious conditions, 5 mental health incidents, 1 motor vehicle theft, 13 well-being checks, 1 simple assault, 5 theft reports, 1 weapons offense, and 20 traffic-related problems. Our department's officers handled 449 proactive incidents in the month of October. Those include patrol checks, business checks, school checks, and such. And additionally, there were 123 vehicle stops conducted by officers in October. Just want to touch on a trend next that we see every year this time of year with the holidays coming up. Many generous residents will leave their trash collectors holiday gifts out on their trash cans. Over the years, we've seen that generosity has been taken advantage of by people who believe that it's an opportune time to steal those generous gifts. So we encourage residents to come up with another way of giving their generosity to their trash collectors, whether that be in person when they arrive, or contacting the trash collection service to see if there's another means of providing that generous gift. So please be careful. If you do find that you put it out with your trash can, although we don't recommend it, some people have taped it on the inside rather than leaving it on the outside. So additionally, with the holiday season coming up, we're all going to be gathering, with our families and friends. It'll be a good time. Our department will, though, be conducting traffic enforcement overnights and during the holidays for DUI enforcement. So we want everybody to get where they are going alive and safe. Our officers will be looking to enforce DUI enforcement throughout the holidays. Last month, I had the opportunity to participate in the pipeline exercise that was overseen by the Department of Emergency Services. It was a great collaboration of all townships, the West Town, East Goshen, Goshen Fire Company, our ambulance crew of Good Fellowship. It was a good collaborative effort, involved all stakeholders involved in the community. It was a great way to prepare for a potential emergency in the future. And lastly, last week we participated in a Coffee with a Cop event at the West Town Giant. It was a great success. We got to talk with both residents from East Goshen and West Town who your shot at the giant. So going forward into 2026, we're continuing to do these events. I look forward to it. The next Coffee with a Cop will be in East Goshen as we get into 2026. That's all I have.
Dave, wanted to ask about the Warmco Drive. Can you tell us how long that's gonna go on for?
Yeah, typically, Michelle, I have to talk with Kathy about that because we have not put anything out yet in our station. So let me get information on the seat. It usually goes a couple months, though. It goes for a while.
It would be great to know if there's a cutoff.
Yes, I'll
Thank
find
you.
out for
I
you.
appreciate that.
That was it? Good, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Goshen Fire? Dorian? How you doing?
Good evening. So for the month of October, the Goshen Fire Company responded to 590 calls for service. It's a pretty busy month for us. We had 72 fire calls, 45 fire police calls, and 473 EMS calls. Major incidents for the month, we had a assisted East Whiteland on a building fire on King Road. A small structure fire on Perry Pike in West Goshen Township. We had an auto accident when in traffic on Route 100 in West Goshen Township. We had a shed fire on the 25th in West Goshen Township. For the month, we are continuing our 15-week club raffle. We just finished the 10, so we have a few more weeks left. And then the Goshen Fire Company subscription drive is in demand. So we ask everybody to please consider purchasing the subscription. It's a great benefit for us and fundraiser. It's a value to the organization. We never need all the.
No, no questions.
Thank you.
So, thanks, thank you. And I don't think we have not or good caution, I do it.
No.
And there's no public hearings. Then there'll be the financial report as of October 31st, 2025. Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Net of pass-throughs as of October 31st, the general fund had year-to-date revenues of $10,954,294 and expenses of $10,594,336 for a net result of $359,958. The end of October, general fund balance was $6,591,170. Versus the budget, our year-to-date October revenue finished flat with the budget. Shortfalls in building permits, quarterly recharges were offset by alarm fees. Please note that we would like to thank the Friends of East Goshen, who donated $44,428.98 to East Goshen Township towards community events, the largest donation, I believe, ever recorded, definitely since I've been here. The average annual donation is usually about $25,000 each year, so pretty amazing. The year-to-date October expenses were 0.7% or $75,000 over budget. Increased utility costs, additional programming, and winter weather earlier in the year accounted for the variance. We continue to tracking to, looks like we're going to meet or exceed the budget with a small surplus. Versus our prior year, we are quite a bit below net operations because of the $133,000 lower in interest rate income and $153,000 higher in snow removal costs. Any questions on the financial report from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Dave, as it pertains to, I love seeing the Friends of East Goshen donation being that high. Can you remind me, you probably have told us in the past, why it was so much higher? Was it because of the increased programming this year, or did they just have a very generous donor, or what's the trend there?
They've been a lot more active with more members this year, as well as different events. Catalina Wine event was a big promotion, which was huge. It was like $20,000 itself. So they've been doing a lot more, and people have been extremely generous. So hoping continues into next year.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, do we anticipate the level of generosity next year?
Yeah, I believe we're gonna do the Catalina again.
Yes.
We're depending whether or not it's gonna be still at that same location.
You bring the East Goshen.
And how big it's gonna be, yeah, so.
I can't
Kind
drink
of up in the air.
It's true. Let's change that.
Did you go to the event?
I didn't know.
It was packed.
Really?
It's packed. Even with the rain, it was packed.
It was during football Saturday, wasn't
Yeah, it was a football
it?
side.
Yeah, that's,
What's football?
yeah.
It-
It's Dave.
All right. Yeah, the approval of minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve both the October 7th and 21st meeting minutes.
Second,
All in favor? Trend report, October 16th, 2025 to November 13th, 2025.
So EIT and LST collections, transfer tax revenue, Friends of East Goshen donation, interest income, Pliget card rebate, which is a cash rebate. We got $10,000 from buying certain things on Pliget card, which usually we use my card for it for specific purposes. The biggest one is like paying the trash bill every month. I mean, that's $87,000, so we get between 1% and 2% back on it. So that's $13,000 for the year. Permits, alarm fees, wireless revenue, Parks and Rec registration fees drove our general fund revenue during this period. The expenses included our monthly WeGo contribution, annual software expenses for our contract, vehicle maintenance repairs, highway materials, building maintenance repairs, Parks and Rec programs, events and maintenance, insurance payments, tree removal, and other routine operational expenditures. From the capital reserve fund, we had another $10,000 chip payment, the rent to own, which we'll pay till next year. $8,000 of infrastructure sustainability fund expenses, including pond treatments and tree removal. Any questions on the bills from anyone?
No, thank you.
I don't have any.
Anyone in the room?
Yeah, anyone in the room? If no,
I have the motion in front of me, or else I make it.
We need a motion.
Dave, just real quick.
Come on up. come up to the mic, please. You've been here enough.
Barry Ruffinack, 200 Before Road. Last year, I mentioned that the amount of plowing that we do seems to be excessive, and you just mentioned that the overage is substantially attributed to the amount of work we do during winter. I'm hoping someone keeps an eye on that over time and what we do.
Yeah, a big part of it, this year happened to be the types of storms that we had, especially because we had the freezing rain, continued rain, and, that's doing the, putting down the brine as well as continued plowing throughout the day, and night. That the guys were kind of staying overnight, long periods, as opposed to just coming in one big snow plowing and being done. Definitely costs us more when it's those long-term interim freezing and unfreezing, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it.
Thank you.
You got it.
That's all.
We need a motion.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, you need a motion.
We need a motion.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of us have to make a motion.
I got it right here in front of me.
Okay, good.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the receipts and approve the expenditures as presented in the expenditure register and summarized in the treasurer's report.
Any other public
Second.
comment? Sorry. We have a second. Any other public comment on that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, thank you. Great. Next, the review and possible approval of the 1338 Morstein Road Chipper Track Residential Subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this was on last month's agenda and it was tabled because there was some loose ends to tie up there with the land development and also the intergovernmental agreement. Unfortunately, we had the land development, I would say, is on the land development side is pretty much done as far as unresolved issues. And we have Kelly here on Zoom, Mark, obviously Mark Thompson's here. The issue that came up last week for the intergovernmental agreement, which if for those that don't know anything about this subdivision, it's in two different municipalities. There's 3 houses in East Goshen. I think the other 13, I believe, are in West Whiteland. So it requires an intergovernmental agreement in order to have West Whiteland provide services to East Goshen residents, is essentially in a nutshell. West Whiteland was proposing something in an intergovernmental agreement last week, Mark, and you can elaborate that it was not unheard of and it wasn't anything out of the ordinary, but it's just we got it so late that we kind of need to work through it, and we didn't think it was appropriate to pass it tonight for what they were proposing, and it was essentially a special sewer district for those 3 residents in East Goshen, so that they would be allowed to charge West Whiteland rates for the sewer, which makes sense because they're in the West Whiteland system, but
Yeah.
again, that's the change in the intergovernmental agreement that we didn't really have time to digest, so the land development side of it's, I don't think there's huge questions there. Obviously, the board can ask all the questions they want. I think council's here for Westchester University Foundation, who owns the property and is hoping to sell it to a developer, I think, who's already lined up. But anyway, that's kind of the situation. So it's still a little bit in flux. And Mark, I don't know if I'm missing anything as far as what I'm describing here.
The sentiment of the board, I think, as expressed over the last several meetings, was that, there was a desire to have all the loose ends tied up, given the fact that it's a 16-lot subdivision and there's only 3 lots in East Goshen that are essentially served by the services of West Whiteland Township, because the fact that there's a cul-de-sac that really doesn't access East Whiteland Township. We had an original intermunicipal agreement. After the last meeting, I had marked that up and sent it to West Whiteland with some fairly minor changes. And Wednesday, we got back an agreement that had some substantial changes to it, considering a special study district, which would allow East Goshen to essentially charge. So the background is West Whiteland can't charge municipal individuals that are outside their boundaries, be it PUC regulated entity to do that, like municipal authority, they don't have an authority. So in order to do that, we need to charge the residents and essentially give the fees back to West Whiteland Township. In order to do that, we need to pass an ordinance. There needs to be a special district to do that. We haven't sat down with staff well, at least that's what West Whiteland was asking us to do. We haven't sat down with staff and digested those issues yet, because we've only had it for 3 days essentially. So I understand applicants council's here with an understanding. I think we've had a couple discussions concerning the issues related to the fact that we've got the 2 municipalities and we wanted to have these things essentially buttoned up for final approval. Do you have any objection to granting an extension?
Yeah. Let's come up.
I have the parcels on the screen now, and it's just the end of the cul-de-sac is essentially the East Goshen parcels.
Good evening, Natalie Young, McElroy RV on behalf of Westchester University Foundation. It's my understanding that there was also a discussion that happened prior. We just asked, again, it remains our position that they can be approved, conditioned upon these things being resolved, but at least the plans could be approved. But we're willing to grant an extension to December. We just asked that this get wrapped up in December. Again, we think the legally permissible route would be for it to be, if it can't be wrapped up in December, for the plans to be approved, conditioned upon whatever needs to be worked out with West Whiteland Township.
So I have a question, and I expressed this to Mark. So so we have this now a little bit more legwork, Mark, as we said, to set up this special sewer district or whatever. Again, the concept is not a bad one, but who's going to pay for that? In other words, we have this legwork that maybe you have to do, or, paperwork, setting up legal entities or whatever. I've never been through a process like that, but who are we going to request pay for that extra legwork? Because I don't think it should be the burden of the township. That's just my opinion, but I don't know if anybody can elaborate on that.
No, we would ask the developer to reimburse the township as part of the development costs and the standard reimbursement agreement. Now, that wouldn't be in perpetuity related to the cost for billing on an annual basis. That would just be to set this up.
So we could just do it under normal escrow and set up a separate invoice for that work.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'd put the applicant on the spot tonight, but we would certainly make that request.
Again, it's really that request to the developer, not the developer's council.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Let me ask, will we be able to wrap this up, Mark, by the end of December?
We should be able to, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I would concur with that.
I have a couple questions. So,
So on page 2 of the document dated November 13 from Panomi. It says pending draft HOA documents. Which township solicitor is going to be drafting HOA documents? Or not which township solicitor, which township solicitor is going to have to review those documents, both East Goshen and West White.
Probably be both, yes.
We've
So
made
both.
several requests for those.
All right, so that has to be both. Further down under 8, the length of the cul-de-sac should be a minimum of 1,500 feet. It says pending, the applicant has stated they'll discuss the length of the cul-de-sac with the board of supervisors. Which board of supervisors? East Goshen Township or West Whiteland? So,
East Goshen Township. East Goshen's subdivision land development ordinance permits cul-de-sacs beyond 1,500 feet in length if it's recommended by the township.
so that was not clear to me. So then it is our board of, the East Goshen Township Board of Supervisors.
Yeah.
Shall have to discuss that.
You would essentially be granting the
So the Pannoni letter is specific to East Goshen, so all the engineering in the letter is specific to the cul-de-sac part of East Goshen, which is in East Goshen, correct?
And there's street trees. I want to get rid of the street trees. That's on page 4 of 6, under 22. It says resolve 14 street trees are now proposed within East Goshen Township. I don't want them to be owned by the township. I don't want the street trees. I'd like that to be a conditional change.
Well, I think the road is gonna be owned by West Whiteland Township. We're not gonna have any ownership of that.
So no
But
snow
they're
plowing,
East Goshen
paving.
residents. they're East Goshen residents though, so
Or,
can we just make sure that those trees are not within our right of way?
yeah, but the right of way, I think what Mark's saying is the right of way is technically gonna be West Whiteland,
West Whiteland's right.
yeah, yeah. Now that I think
It
about
says
it,
resolve, 14 street trees are now proposed in East Goshen Township. So. What is it? So I want that, there. I would like to see that cleaned up. I'd like that there.
we can confirm, but I mean, if there's a reason to ask the developer to clear that out, then that's fine, but we can confirm the right of way and how that works, but I was under the assumption that it was going to be the West Whiteland right of way.
So then it's not gonna be East Goshen Township sewer lateral. When the roots get into the sewer.
It will not be.
No, no.
It will be owned by West Whiteland.
Just making sure things are clear.
I have one question. Number 14 says the development plan show a pipeline running through lot 6 and 7 in front of the new home. This will limit access or cut off access to the residents in case of an emergency. Request that a second emergency apparatus road be installed to allow egress from the lots in case of an emergency as required in the IFC 20818 section 5031.1.3. Additional access. And the response to that is new dwellings shall have a residential sprinkler system to provide additional fire protection in the absence of a secondary egress. I think a sprinkler system is really different than an emergency egress. So I'm
Wait.
curious
So that was a.
by that.
So Kelly's on Zoom, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was essentially a little bit of a back and forth because that was a recommendation on our side about having a second means of ingress and egress in order for emergency services. I think the answer was that it was not required legally to have that and that we would request it as a backup option to sprinkler them since West Whiteland had to be sprinkled anyway per their ordinance, that it wouldn't be that big of an ask. So I think it was more of they did not want to do it in their land development and didn't legally have to do it, even though we asked for it. Am I wrong on that, Kelly?
No, just for
Yeah.
clarification, I realized that, actually Michelle and I had this conversation a few weeks ago. It's not that there's not a secondary egress out of the home itself. It's a secondary egress for, fire
Yeah.
apparatus to
For-
enter
for
the
the road,
cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I think.
So that's just to, allow, some additional protection to the houses, for, emergency vehicle, for emergency vehicles to respond, not for people to get out of the home.
And I don't know, and to be, I don't know, not that I could say that they said, we don't want to do this. I don't know. I mean, I didn't get involved in the engineering aspect if they thought it was too difficult to have a second road going into there. So I can't address that, but that was sort of what I remember from it. I don't know if there's any other comments from you guys, but.
Not specifically in regards to that.
Okay.
Or-
So you're talking about a secondary road coming
Yes.
into the backside,
That
that goes
was-
through someone else's property then,
Well, that, I don't.
correct, there's a
we-
house right here.
Yeah, so I think there was a way we thought it was possible. I can't.
Well,
follow
there's a
this.
pipeline right here. But that's someone else's property.
Yeah, I unless I see like a larger thing.
I'm pretty sure there's a house right here.
Yeah.
There's 202, and then there's the whole, big neighborhood there, so. I don't know,
Yeah,
do you need another road?
well, that was the back and forth, and I think we had kind of relented at some point and said that, we at least would like them to be sprinklered like the West Whiteland houses.
It's a homeowner's choice, won't it be,
Homeowner choice for,
to have the sprinkler system or not?
well, not for West Whiteland, so that's why,
Oh, but at all.
'Cause West
I get
Whiteland
to
is-
Solve that in the agreement then.
well, it would just be
Right.
part of the,
Do they have to have a sprinkler system or do they not? East Goshen does not require it. They require it. So
So West Whiteland does require it, and I think the condition would be that they would have sprinklers.
Yeah.
In lieu of essentially having that, access for fire.
so it would not be in the intergovernmental agreement, it would be a condition for approval.
Yes, that if the builder's putting sprinkler systems in all the houses, always put them in the Scotia houses as well.
it would make sense that whole neighborhood to be as one, all the same.
Yep.
So if someone shows up for a fire. They would not assume that, or not assume that that's
Correct.
sprinklers or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have a problem with that, so that agreed upon condition.
Right, it was my understanding that that was what was discussed and that
Sure.
it was resolved in this plan.
Okay.
For that, for their meeting.
All right, I just want,
And to be clear with the sewer situation, this is a situation where the residents will be charged by our municipal authority. And we will collect their rate,
Correct,
and we will pay it then to West Whiteland.
correct, yes.
And that's gonna be specified in that intermunicipal
Correct,
agreement.
yes.
And emergency services are gonna be provided by where? They're gonna be provided all by West Whiteland?
That is correct. That's the proposal right now.
The police will still serve the dwellings, because they're located in Goshen Township now. There are exceptions to, emergencies, somebody fleeing, I mean, surely West Whiteland's police will have the ability to access the units and if there's an emergency, serve them, but they're still in East Goshen's jurisdiction, and if there's a burglary, it will be investigated by East Goshen.
Okay, and there is no snow removal, is that correct? Because this is a
right away.
private road, is that correct?
I don't know. I thought it was gonna be dedicated to West Whiteland. I know it's not East Goshen Road. It's either private or West Whiteland, but I was under the impression.
Sorry, currently it is, proposed to be a private road.
Which means that there will be no West Whiteland.
Nope, wouldn't even be West Whiteland. They would have an HOA that would handle snow removal.
Any other questions? Anyone have any questions? Are we good? We just gotta get this agreement.
I think so.
Filed.
If I make it to a letter.
Okay, yeah. So we have an extension through our meeting on December.
December 16th, I think is
Well,
the,
if we need to.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha.
So you think we can get it done by then, right?
Yeah, I do.
Ironed out?
I do.
Great. New business discussion and possible adoption of the resolution 2025-10. Approving the West Towns East Ocean Police Agreement.
Thank you.
Cody.
No, that would be me. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is one of a few different police issues we've been working on all year. This is the expiration of the partner agreement, which is the charter agreement that governs the West Town East Goshen Police Department and basically spells out how it's going to function from responsibility standpoint, the police commission. So that expires at the end of this year. What you see here before you is the efforts that we have given since basically January. Cody, was our first meeting on this. And it's been a long road, but this is not a run-of-the-mill update to the police agreement. There are some things that I highlight here in the corresponding notes that I attached to the agreement and the accompanying resolution. Most notably, you see, we've heard PPUs, police protection units, in these meetings, in the police meetings for years, and that was a way to break down financial responsibility to a certain extent. But without getting too into the weeds, it was a sort of an artificial way to manage it. And the PPUs are actually going to go away. And that's, as the study we just had done recently explained, that's 8 to 10 hours of administrative work just to say that a police officer should be on one side of Westchester Pike versus another. So I think everybody was kind of happy with that as a whole. We'll eliminate that. One of the big things also is the citizen at large seat, with the exit of Thornberry as a client, which had that large seat for many years. We just didn't see a way forward to have that at large seat be somebody that would be an expert on police matters and we can consistently count on year in and year out. So that is going away, and in its place, we will have an alternate system where East Goshen will have a backup alternate as well as West Town, and they'll work with the two main commissioners in order to learn, but also, and step in if needed, but also just be a backup voice in certain instances. So we still have the same financial split. That's important. And also this is important too, 2-year terms for each commissioner. I think it was a back and forth on that, and it was a complaint really internally, and I think we all got it, that commissioners were changing over way too much for them to be any consistency with the chief and policy. So the 2-year terms, I think, was a big move for us. And then some of the other ones are kind of small, but those are the 3 big ones that I think we accomplished in this one. And Cody, I don't know if you have anything to add, but Cody is our current police commissioner for East Goshen, which is why I'm asking him. But the resolution 2025-10 of 2025, well, that will give me the authority to sign the agreement on behalf of the township if the board so deems to pass it tonight. Westtown did pass it last night without issue. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a few comments. First off, I just want to thank Derek for all his work. This year, we've had a CBA with the union. We've had a partner agreement, and we're in the middle of a police chief search, and he's taken on 98% of the work. I would argue more than some of the consultants. So great work out of Derek. I appreciate his help with everything. As it pertains to the partnership agreement, two things I wanted to point out specifically. First off, previously in our partner agreement with Westtown, we had a requirement for 4 new cars every single year. No rhyme or reason. We eliminated that to ensure that we're using our cars efficiently and that we're not replacing them just to replace them, it's about $58,000 a car. So it's not cheap, but it's a good way for us to save some money. And then also the PPUs, like Derek said, is being eliminated, but we're going to continue to monitor crime and call volume per township. So when this does come back up again in a couple of years, that percentage of what we pay versus Westtown may be up for discussion as well, just based off the data that we're having and the new sectors and everything else that's being implemented. So
that's actually a good point. I want to bring that up real quick because we're collecting a lot of data going to go forward. And I think one of the things that came out of the study was our data wasn't as good as we hoped it would be, which is why the percentage breakdown is still the same and based on historical data of how it was done. But when we really get into the criminal statistics and tracking it better for the next partner agreement, I think the hope is that the percentage breakdown in the next partner agreement can be a lot more statistically driven, which I think is the goal for us as a township. So.
I'd also like to make a comment or two. Cody and I work on this with our partners in West Town. And we had four very thoughtful current or past commissioners working on this agreement, looking at historically what seemed to work and what didn't work. And I think that we came to a really good balance. Derek brought it all together. So again, I echo Cody's comments. Derek did bring all that together as well as the CBA and hopefully we'll wrap up this June search pretty quickly too. So thank you very much for all of your efforts on that. But I really did enjoy working with you on this, Cody. I think we came to a really good resolution.
Thank you.
To that end, if I might, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we pass resolution 2025-10, authorizing the township manager to sign a proposed police services agreement with Westtown Township for a 4-year term with a 1-year option to start on January 1st, 2026.
I second.
Any public comment on any of this?
Sorry, can I just add one more comment
Yes.
too? The partner
Sure.
agreement allows us, I was reminded when Michelle was talking. Previously, we did have Thornberry as a client, but now this partner agreement is set up in a way that if there's other municipalities in the area that are interested in joining and becoming a client again, that this partner agreement will be applicable for that as well. And we welcome any other township that would like regional policing services to reach out, so.
Well, thanks Cody and Derek for all the hard work on this. So it was a lot, I can say. So we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And we're good. All right, so you can sign that.
Yeah, thank you. One please
Thank you.
thing done.
Next, replacement of current phone system.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna hand it over to Dave to get into the numbers, but this is kind of something that we've been looking at for years, Dave and I. It just comes down to the current, not only just phones we have, but the system of billing and the business model that is currently used by our current provider is archaic, to say the least, and we think there's a better way to do it and streamline it. And these voice over IP systems, which are not new. I mean, it'll be new to East Goshen, but they're kind of the way that everybody does business now, but we have not. So we're looking to streamline it, lower costs, and just honestly get better technology in the building. So with that, I will hand it over to Dave to elaborate on the numbers.
Yeah, so it's interesting, no matter which one of the voice over IP systems we would go with, they're both gonna be cheaper than our current provider. On a monthly basis, as well as a cheaper startup first year cost, versus even an ongoing cost for the existing provider. The PBX system is much more for a large scale call center, hospital, health provider kind of a system where everything's internal. You've got an IT person on staff that does all of the changes that you need. We don't have that, so it always takes a call to a third party to come and charge you $100, $150 an hour to do anything to the phone system, even change a message on the machine. So this would give us much more customer service availability to respond to township closings, different holidays, anything going on. We can put different messages on the phone, change based on the season, anything like that. After looking at the numbers and going through it, I did reach back out to Graphic and got some more input, and their system, the way that they were billing was more of a billing and a rental, kind of like a Comcast or a Verizon. So instead of owning the system, we were kind of renting it monthly, which is why their cost was so much higher. After coming back and doing it more like the Semperon model, they sharpen their pencils and they are considerably closer. The revised estimate, their monthly cost per line is $27.21 versus $25.24. Graphic is also a company that does IT services. We have an IT provider right now, but in the future, it would allow us to have consolidation of vendors, some other opportunities like that. So, given the limited price difference, I would recommend going with Graffin at this point. We can discuss it
Yeah.
further if the board doesn't wanna.
And I think the main question, and rightfully so, would be why it's closer, but why aren't we going with the low bid?
Yeah.
Even though we don't have to because it's professional services. I think Dave and I in the meetings just got a better vibe, so to speak, from Graffin, but also I think there's an opportunity for some of the other services they provide down the road to really consolidate vendors and save even more money down the road with some of the other things that they do. So
They do seem to pride themselves on a customer service model, so it's much more responsive. They say between 30 minutes to an hour. You're talking to a person on the phone, it's not like you're waiting all day for a ticket and a call back and all this. It's the same people that have worked there, most of them for 5 to 10, 15 years. They're in Conshohocken. Their contract is a 2-year contract. We could expand that with annual renewals as opposed to a 3-year contract. I know that kind of timeline is usually amenable to a board. It allows us to flip more quickly if we don't like the service, things of that nature. But I think the return on investment for either one of those systems is way better than what we're doing now. And being able to customize it in-house versus going outside and waiting. And eventually, kind of be hand in glove with our IT would be
Dave, I'd like to be clear here. Is this in-house here, or is this gonna cover cell phones outside?
it can do both.
It will do both, or it
So you
can do
can
both?
actually get a mobile app on your phone and you can bounce your desk phone to a mobile phone and it's just like you're in.
I think John's asking, does this include the Verizon bills that we have for cell phones? The answer is no. This is not. This is
No, but we already have the line set up for this.
correct.
So we would actually get rid of one of our existing bills with net carrier.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Yeah,
Dave, can you tell us what other services they offer? So that we have an idea of what kind of cost saving measures we can be looking at in the future?
sure. They they also do a lot of the things that we have similar, which is they do a 360 managed IT, full-time PC. They do a discount for non-full-time PC users at about only 10% of the cost, which is most of the public service, public works guys, because they're not sitting at a computer, they don't really need that kind of security level. It's more of, it's just an email. Same thing with the board members. They would set up a laptop or a computer for you, and then understanding that it's not gonna be used like it would be for me sitting in an office all day, working on it at home and things like that, remoting in. That would be a lot cheaper, and all of their customer service is actually included as part of their price. So it's not billed hourly. There is no additional charge unless you get replacement computers. And that is a set $300 per computer. Which I think right now, I went back and looked what we paid this year was $338.85 average.
Well, if Mr. Chairman will allow me, I'll make the motion that we approve the suggested Graffin proposal for a voice over internet protocol system to replace the existing phone system.
Any other public comment?
Is there any,
Come on, yeah,
Second
come on.
motion.
these guys are.
I'm gonna get your own microphone.
Is there any future proof built into this, Dave? Voice over IP is over a 25-year technology that's, you know,
Well, the life of these are, the phone system itself should last at least 5 to 7 years before needing replacement.
and the current system is what, 30 years old?
No, we got.
It's like Morse code.
2021, but it is technology from
Yeah,
about.
My point is, you wanna buy something 7 years, is there a plug and play for future growth?
I don't have a thought that far out, but
We might for that.
Well, I think to answer the question, I do think that when we were looking at different models, we were looking at going with more of the cutting edge model. And then they did say in the meeting that, just talking about the models for the phones, that it was like a plug and play with some of the, obviously if we stay with them, it was more of a plug and play with the different.
yeah, it's
Technology.
much more adaptable technology wise. I mean, because it's gonna go to the cloud, because it's all internet protocol hosted. It's on broadband and internet, so it's not like it's gonna be outdated in 5 years.
Comcast. Box, they're gonna be by you.
Your Comcast box.
Just. Ask.
Fair enough.
Any other comments? Do we had a motion
And second.
in a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What do we have to do?
The discussion and possible approval of the 2026 preliminary budget.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you're amenable to this. I know Mark Miller gets here at 4:30 in the morning. I don't know if we'd be willing to move up request for approval of bid prior to the budget discussion.
Yeah, we can do
All
that.
right, well, we'll hear from Mark.
I know.
I think Mark is asleep.
That was my fault, sorry.
Do you wanna?
Yeah,
Get
we
this
can
out
do
of the
that.
way
That's
so you can
fine.
go on?
That's fine. Yeah, let's just do that.
Sorry about to call you out. You just worked so hard and get here so early.
All right, so then the other one would be the request for approval of bid winners for 2026 contracts for all train crawler carriers and rental equipment without operators. What do we got?
Somebody tell me what these do. Have you on the phone? Sorry, I'll get, I'm gonna. The crawler truck is a truck on track. So in the event that we do any pond work, this is the boat tree, we're gonna that and we're gonna swap. And leave it back in sewer right away. If we don't have it, this is also is a placeholder, we may not use it. It's just a placeholder, in case we do need it, we can just call up and order that, yeah. They might not need it. Right.
And there's no plans to use it at this time anyway, unless you end up doing a job,
Right now,
if you do a job,
For now,
Yeah.
it's strictly the emergency.
just a placeholder.
But just to be clear, it's not something that we currently have, so we would have to rent a machine for it. We don't have it in
Yeah.
the shop. We have a lot of stuff, but we have this.
No, but that's.
We need to make a motion on this?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Do we have any other questions or comments on this running?
We don't have a motion yet.
We need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the contract, the two contractors for the winners, Rob Proctor and Foley Inc. For the all-terrain carrier, carrier weekly and monthly prices as listed in the memo. And that we authorize the return of the executed contracts to Mark Miller as soon as possible.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna go to bed. I'm gonna give these to you guys, sign them, like, really. Oh. Always something.
You want me to take them? Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. All right. So now discussion on the potential. The discussion and possible approval of the 2026 preliminary budget. So, Dave?
That would be Dave, yeah. One second.
So we've had quite a few meetings on this. I'm gonna start with where we're at right now, all the changes since the last versions the board has been and reviewed. Go to the next slide.
Sorry, let me get rid of this thing.
So these are all the current changes from the last iteration that the board has been viewing. I took out the $76,000 revenue transfer from existing fund balance. And APIT is increased by $76,000 based on our year-to-date November actual versus the budget. It's a stretch, it's gonna be tough, but I do feel comfortable. We had 5.6 in there and now it's gonna be 5.676. Looks like we've got a decent amount of turnover in the township. Some of the neighborhood, Bow Tree and things like that, we're seeing some of the younger families moving in. The EIT has definitely jumped up a little bit. And I know by talking on the, this recent Chester County Tax Authority meeting, with Keystone Collection, that they are running a 2023 campaign coming up. And usually when they do those delinquency campaigns, we see a bump as well. So I feel comfortable taking that out. So there's no, police trust or existing fund balance used in this. It's a net zero budget. It's fully funding Goshen Fire Company's request of $708,000, funding Goodwill Ambulance for their request of $83,000. Malvern Library contribution at $37,500 for the board majority and what's been discussed in meetings. The final approved staff payroll and benefits and decrease in consulting services by $11,000. The only other changes to any other funds have been a decrease in transfer to sewer authority from sewer operating and a decrease from sewer capital reserve. And that are all the changes. We want to go through everything.
I'm waiting to see if Grant smiles or not. When he sees that $709,000. I'm sorry, 700.
I just have a comment as it pertains to future budgets moving forward. I'm grateful that we obviously have a deficit next year planned. I just, one thing that I think we're gonna have to, as I continue to say, as a group, pertaining to our police trust and the money we have in there with the increased costs of public safety every single year. I think next year is probably gonna be a year we're gonna have to tap into our police trust, I guess not next year, but the following budget, to tap into our police trust interest helps offset some of those costs to prevent a tax increase, so.
Yeah, and depending on how 2026 goes, it is always a possibility to bring to the board if necessary, balance the budget. Right now, we're getting over, I mean, it's been averaging almost 8% a year in interest income from the investments that we get. That's considerably more than Pliget or anybody's checking and savings account is gonna get. We've got over $1.3 million in there right now. I think the Dable Group and the way that all the negotiations have turned out so far. I mean, we've got $50,000 plus budget for police this year versus last year. That is not gonna happen every year. So, I think my plan of action, what I would recommend to the board moving forward is utilize up to whatever the interest is per year, which is usually about $100,000 to $115,000. Maybe up to 150 to offset the MMO or the OPEB expenses that we're gonna have for police. It puts a nice dent in it. It's not gonna be enough considering what costs may come along. We'll have to see, but looking at what EMS and police are dealing with from a cost point of view, it's good to have that cushion, but you know, we'll be looking at a long-term plan early next year for the next 10 years. That's gonna be a big driving force of possible tax increases, things like that.
Other question, I'm sorry, I wanted to ask about Malvern Fire Department. John just pointed out that that's not listed here. There was an increase in the ask on the changes to funds page. And are we missing it?
Go back.
We've got
Thought I
the,
had the,
we've got the Malvern Library contribution at 37.5.
I did forget it. It's we're
What number?
$50,000
Okay, so
So-
Malvern Fire,
at 50,000. They requested 150. And in the board's discussion with them, we kind of made it known and they understood. They haven't been to any meetings, at least since I've been here in 2021. But understanding the dire circumstances they're in, helping them, and they're also a big part of that little corner of ALS of East Goshen. We could look at stepping that up from 50 to 100 to 150. I don't know what it's gonna be in 3 years. That's probably not gonna be enough, but at least, you know, it helps them out now.
okay, I just wanted to make sure that, because John did point that out, I wanted to make sure that we
I appreciate that.
let people know how much it was.
Two more things, sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. East Whiteland is not pulling their weight for Malvern Fire Company.
No, I haven't heard back from them yet. Is there anything from them as far as?
No, I can give Steve Brown a call. He's the manager at East Whiteland.
And my comment for that is, as it pertains to future funding for them, I want to see East Whiteland pulling their fair share, and if not, it's gonna impact I'm only one of five, but what my suggestion will be for donation moving forward.
What was the slide? that
They had 10 more.
Zero.
They had 10 more, 10 less calls than we did, and they contributed $0.
Zero, yeah.
And one last thing for the police, I think John had asked at a previous meeting. This is our final police budget. This does include Kathy for an entire year. Doesn't mean if we're going to get her for an entire year, but it only went up 6,000, and I do anticipate with our commission meeting on Friday, I'm gonna try and wiggle it down a little bit more. I have some ideas if Westtown can enjoy, so there may be us to save another 25 to 30 from what this is proposing for next year.
Poor Westtown.
Yeah, I know. They've had to deal with me for 2 years, so.
Opportunity to say you've done a very, very good job over 2 years as police commissioner.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
I appreciate that. I think the township appreciate you.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for all your hard work, Cody. You've really, really been a shining star over there. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We can go through this slide by slide.
We're gonna go through everything. all
Questions?
Together again, but yes.
Or you guys
Yeah,
want to
we
see,
can do
you want to go
questions.
through all again?
No, wait a minute. I'm
Yeah,
looking-
this-
You wanna look at
Questions.
you wanna look at the important page.
55 pages.
You wanna look at the important page, right?
You know what? Yeah, you know exactly.
You wanna
what
start
I
it
see.
maybe-
55 pages. We'll be here all night and into the morning.
Dave, maybe general fund revenue?
Yeah, let's look at,
Give me a number.
so John. Feels comfortable.
And we can go through every page if anybody wants that to be done. Who is here?
Yeah, if everybody has any
Oh,
questions.
well,
I'm happy.
I do have a comment on that, though. I mean, as Peter said, we can. So we're advertising this as we are required to do by law, and it'll be at the township building for inspection. It'll also be online till I mean, in perpetuity, we just basically keep them up online. So and then when the final budget gets passed, we'll swap the preliminary out for final, but everything will be available either in person or online for review in the coming days as well.
Yeah, so I would point you towards page 21. This is the general fund budget. You see its total revenue and total expense in the 2026 proposed budget column. You could look at that versus 2024 and 2025. Our total expenses and revenue have gone up 2%, 1.9%. The average over the last 5 years since I've been here has been 0.5% each year for expense increases. Not including police and EMS, our expenses are up 0.8% this year. And that's with a couple of promotions and job reassignments, additional responsibilities for people. I think we've done a pretty good job, and we've got fully funding all of the public safety that is so important to everybody. And when you've got a community that's majority of 60% are retired or soon to retire, it's you see the ambulances every day. I mean, I'm in the office right over the road, and the ambulances and the fire truck are going by all the time. So it's an important service, and we fit it in the budget.
You did a good job. I'm gonna shock people because I'm gonna say something nice again. But Derek and Dave had done a tremendous job handling the budget. The fact that we're up only 1%, 2%, 0.5% here, 0.5% there, that's amazing. You all know what your costs have done. How we are doing that in the township, I don't know, but you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you how we do it. I have a lot more gray hair than I did 5 years ago, and Dave has no hair, so that's just not how we do it. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you.
Yeah, great.
I want to add to that, John is correct. Dave and Derek done such a great job. This is the best $420 a resident spends a year in regards to their millage rate. So you guys do a great job and are very fiscally responsible for everything, still while getting projects done. So I commend you for all this work. I'm glad I'm not you.
I just, the only comment I have is, and I'm not singling out Goshen Fire or Grant, I know they had, but from a first responder perspective in general, it's just kind of incumbent upon me to continue to work with our first responders as we go on here and figure out a way to both fund the necessary services and keep it sustainable. Because again, not just talking about Goshen Fire, it's just been an ongoing increase of epic proportions, and we just kind of need to work together to come up with long-term resolutions. And I look forward to working with all our first responder organizations next year and beyond to kind of keep an eye on that for us.
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate. We've got some good ABCs. We've got a lot of really intelligent, community activism, people doing good ideas, working for free when they don't have to. It's really nice to say, you know, Friends of East Goshen is a great group. Having a planning commission that does what they do and serves the and the East Sac, and it's just awesome. The municipal authority is terrific too.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a quick comment too regarding EMS and fire. This year I've had an opportunity to sit with the West Goshen Emergency Services Coalition. And I hope that moving forward, this board is going to have representation on that board. Because the only way forward with fire and EMS is going to really be having more collaborative efforts among fire departments and EMS providers. And they know that, we know that. And I just hope that we have a little bit more open dialogue moving forward. So I appreciate what you've done so far, though.
Oh. And I'm glad the volleyball court redone, the renovation's gonna be in there. So, thanks, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any public comment on any part of the budget from anyone in the room tonight or on Zoom at this point? Come on up.
So short, it's not worth the trip. I think looking at this budget and knowing,
Microphone, sorry.
knowing the economic turmoil that this country has been in the last 3 years, seeing inflation that like we haven't seen in 40 years. Your ability to hold the budget minor increases is outstanding. Had I not seen it, witnessed it, I would be disbelieving that it could be done. So Dave, you and Derek, I think, have done outstanding work.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Very much.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we pass the 2026 proposed budget with the changes that were outlined this evening to the public for considerations.
Good, second.
Look in the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Goes
Next,
to the public.
no tax increase, no refuse rate increase, and no sewer rate increase.
Thank
For
you.
everybody watching.
3 for 3.
All the questions. So the last thing for today is discussion on potential service agreement with Good Fellowship Ambulance
So,
Company.
yeah, so we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this. This is not for passage. Mark and I have gone back and forth with this the last few weeks. Good Fellowship is seeking agreements with all its participating municipalities in order to, I guess, just have an ironclad contract with each one. I had some concerns with the language, and I shared that with Mark. I think Mark did as well. Some of these agreements with first, and this probably goes back to my previous comment with about working with first responders, but some of this is, I mean, it can be a little bit of a show because you put caps on things, but then there's a lot of outs for when the caps don't apply. So the language actually currently in front of us here is a little bit different than I think what the final language is going to be. I went back and forth with Chaz Brogan. He's the executive director of Good Fellowship Ambulance. And I said, look, we really would like a little bit better assurance that the 10% cap that they propose for budget increases is adhered to unless there's very extenuating circumstances. So we did go back and forth via email on some new language. I did give that to Mark just like yesterday. So we're still working out, I think, what we believe possibly could be more ironclad language to hold Good Fellowship to that, except again, under very extenuating circumstances. So I wouldn't have a problem recommending to the board to pass this agreement sometime in December if that's what we have to do in order to get the services. But I also think that the language needs to be looked at a little bit more. So that's kind of my spiel for tonight. We could take questions or we could discuss it, but that's essentially what we're looking at.
I'd like to know Mark's concerns on verbiage.
No, I mean, the issue was you were agreeing to essentially fund increases up to 10% for a 3-year period. If it went beyond 10%, then you had the option as a township to essentially get out of the agreement, say we're not gonna fund those types of increases. So, I mean, that's something that you would have to be comfortable with those numbers.
And I think, 10% sounds like a lot, but the increases we've had for some of these organizations over the last few years have been way past 10%. So I think we would consider it a win if we can come up with some language that we can, again, adhere to. But I don't think Mark or I felt like the current language did that to the extent that we would have liked.
No, and I'd be interested to know what the increases have been over
Yeah.
period of time.
Yeah. I think Dave could probably ring that off.
What have there's, you don't have to tell us tonight, but have they been more than 10 in the past years?
40%, 80%.
And what is a 10% increase year over year that going
Right
forward?
now, for them, it would be $8,000.
$8,000 a year?
Yeah.
What is it, 83?
Yeah.
83,000
Yeah, it was
now?
based
Yeah.
on 83.
Okay. So that's,
I mean, we just doubled what we.
without doing another budget, that's
Yeah.
manageable and you can plan out better with that.
So, yeah,
Yeah, it's just some of the language in there where it says agree to do your prorated share of the net deficit. Well, what if the net deficit is bigger than what they just gave us for the budget? Are we on the hook for that
Yeah.
or the number that we got?
and that's kind of the thing we're still
You guys wanna
working
look
out.
at this and save it for December now?
Correct, yes.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
that's,
Yep.
it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Mark can,
Yeah.
read it to us.
Yeah.
All right. Is that all for that then?
All for that, yeah.
Nothing else we need to do with that?
I do have any other matter though.
So any standing issues or projects? Any of that?
No.
Just any other matter you had? one?
Yep, I do, and I apologize in advance.
Okay.
I apologize in advance for this request. I know I'm not going to be the most popular person in the world, but December 2nd, we currently do not have scheduled. Right now, we only have December 16th. I would like the board to consider meeting December 2nd. As I said earlier, we're working on a number of police issues. I expect the last two that we're working on right now, police chief search and the collective bargaining, to be ready to vote that night. I don't want it to linger till December 16th for a bunch of different reasons. And I would like to get that taken care of. We can put some other things on the agenda if needed, but really, I would like to meet December 2nd in order to take care of a couple of police issues. And again, I apologize for the late notice, but it's just the way these contracts were getting reviewed by attorneys. It was taking forever. Mark was not the attorney on that, so I just want to point that out. So yeah, I'm just requesting that we meet December 2nd. I will try to keep it as short as I possibly can.
I'm good with that.
No, I'm good with that. And if there's any other budget questions that come up.
Yeah, and we can,
Yeah,
and if anybody can meet, obviously we can utilize Zoom if somebody already had plans or anything like that, but
No, I'm fine with the second.
sorry about that.
Yeah, if anybody
Anything
has,
else? Thanks a lot.
any of the public has any questions about any of the budget items or any of the rates, things like that, they can ask me that. I'll have the information.
I'm good.
Good.
You guys good
Okay.
with that?
All right.
Everyone's good with that?
All right, I'll put that out there.
Put that out there.
Yep.
It's already been,
It's already been advertised as such.
Okay.
I just need to make sure that people know there's gonna be a meeting that night, and Ashley and I'll do that ASAP. Thank you.
any liaison reports? And then
The public comments.
any public comments?
Russ Frank, East Coast resident. Russ Frank, East Coast resident. I have 3 items I would like to discuss tonight. One is, why are we registering for every meeting on a continuing basis? Are we sure we're being hacked? Is that the real reason?
So it happened in July. I think we got what they call Zoom bombed, and it was pretty graphic material that was in there. We had researched a few different ways to try to limit that. I mean, from all the research I did, you can't 100% stop it. I talked with our IT. I was on the computer forever trying to figure out ironclad ways to prevent it. It's actually the least invasive way to do it. I mean, there's other things that I can have done, which is probably a little bit better from a security standpoint that I didn't want to do because I didn't want to impede public participation. So we found that the registration system was the best way we can go with still being able to have full participation.
So the reason why I asked this question is because I tested it today.
Mm-hmm.
I did it with my home email address on my home computer.
Yep.
And I did it with a work computer with a work email address. They both got accepted.
Yep.
So anybody can hack it.
Well,
All you have to do is go on Google, look up somebody who lives in East Goshen, and there you're done.
correct. I don't want to really get into it here because I don't want to reveal secrets, but there's techniques that I use now, and I saw both of them, by the way. I saw them and I knew it was probably, I didn't know why you were doing it, but I know you, so. I know, I didn't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying I knew I knew the name, so yeah. So I guess,
Email address.
yeah, there are techniques I use during the registration process in order to weed out who is not legitimate.
Well, it's only instantaneous, the feedback. I got it right back.
Yes, that's done.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The other thing I want to discuss is, why does the Conservancy Board not have Zoom? While
So I'll
Pipeline
just-
Task Force,
Okay.
Well, Pipeline Task Force, ECAS do have them. And my reason is, I've attended 4 meetings of the Conservancy Board. One time I commented on an important topic that was being discussed, and my comment nor my attendance was recorded on the meetings. Problem 1. 3 other times, I had to readdress the chairman on how to change the comments that he put in there that weren't his comments. And I had him change it to what I thought was the proper comments that he did. Good. But the thing is, I'm not saying that or implying that my words are very important. All I'm trying to do is say that there should be some procedures in place to ensure meetings are accurately recorded and transparent. To me, it seems like they're not. Maybe there should be some ways of recording along.
What do we do there?
So when we started the Zoom, and prior to me getting this system, we had a very archaic system on the side, as everybody knows. So when we started doing this for the board, we talked about that at length as far as other ABCs. The policy we came with, for lack of a better term, is that we were going to start doing it upon request of the specific ABCs as best we could. Now, the problem with all that is that these systems are only as good as the people that are using them. So in other words, you can't prevent user error always. So there needs to be a liaison that's trusted, that can work the systems at these meetings. And we try to do that all the time. But at the time, we were just having, and Ashley is now going there on a monthly basis, so she could probably do it. But we were relying on the ABCs up until now to say, we would like to try this out. It didn't always work even when we did it. Sometimes it, again, if Ashley was out or something, you still have to have a backup. So the one thing that happens now is these other ABCs, they're starting meeting in the other room more because it's a smaller space. We do have in the budget the ability we're trying to make that room virtual over there. And we're hoping that helps to encourage the ABCs a little bit more to have these Zoom systems and be able to utilize Zoom in a way that they haven't so far. But to answer your question, we've been relying on the specific ABCs to tell us if they would like to utilize Zoom or not. Now, minutes have always been there. They should be accurate. So I apologize if that isn't happening, and I'll try to get to the bottom of that. But that's basically it. We've been relying on the ABCs to sort of tell us.
Is it more cost effective, or is it more costly to record and save them all than having rely on the minutes? You can always use the minutes, but you can always use the tape.
I don't
Go
think,
back and verify what.
what is it more costly? I don't know.
Would cost more to video games.
Doesn't, well, there's a small fee if it gets too big, but it doesn't cost much. I mean, you have to have minutes legally, so that can't ever go away. But it doesn't.
It depends if it's the chairperson taking the minutes for the meeting or doing it for free,
Yeah.
or if we paying staff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
That's
saying,
the
if we record like you're doing tonight,
Yeah.
put them out there, the
Yeah.
web, or
Yeah.
YouTube, whatever you call it.
But the issue is there's a lot of, we have more ABCs at East Goshen than most places. So the issue becomes, we have to have a reliable IT person, for lack of a better term, at every single one of these meetings that can actually function these systems correctly. And it's not always easy with some of the smaller ABCs. That's an issue as well. I mean, we're continuing to work on it. As you said, Pipeline Task Force, they did Zoom. Actually, they did a meeting today and they had Zoom going. But I think it's going to become more and more prevalent. So I apologize for the issues, but it's just a matter of having A, the technology, but B, the person to function the technology. So.
Now, the last time I'd like to discuss, it's not piggybacking on what was said earlier about the past election. This is something I observed. It's not about lie. But the Board of Supervisors' first meeting was held in January of, anybody know that? 1968. And that was even before Hershey Mills was a potential project, as construction didn't start until February of 1974. This past election, we now have 3 members from Hershey Mills, and I am sure the founding fathers of East Goshen Township, when the topic of township representation came up, never wanted the fair representation of the township, not one section dictating to the township board. My question in all of this is, what are you, the current board, going to do about this? Let me be very clear. I'm not trying to say one board is better than another, but we need to have fair representation of East Goshen residents, not one subsection of the township. How can this be changed? No different than the rest of the country operates.
I want to make 2 comments here from some of the stuff tonight. First off, any issues, the county is one who runs and administers elections. So if you're having issues with your polling locations, talk to your county board of election. As it pertains to representation, East Goshen is not set up in a way like Haverford Township in Delaware County, where each precinct has a council member or board of supervisors. Where I am situated, I'm the first board member from my area of the township, probably since 1968, right? Voters vote. They selected where it was. It is what it is, Russ. So I understand when people are saying like, there's 3 members here, there's 2 members here, like.
Never been anything one lopsided.
But there was no one
every day.
no one was ever saying that when there was no representation from my part of the township.
I'm not asking for representation.
You're asking for equal representation among the of the township.
You can't have everybody, because next year you're gonna get another person from Hershey Mills, and the year after that, you're gonna have 5 members from Hershey Mills on this board. And you can't tell me that that's not gonna happen. Neither can you.
Russ, the voters will decide who will be up here in 2027. Well, can I finish, please? Can I finish, please? The voters will decide who's going to be here in 27, 2029, 2031. It doesn't matter where they're from in the township. That's not how our code's written or the second-class township is.
Explain. Look, we're 2 people here. How?
Russ,
It was.
if you have an issue with the election, go to the Board of Election meeting.
This is your problem, the Board of Supervisors' problem, not the county's. If this.
How is this
Message to.
how is this our problem?
Because it's unfair. And you know
What's unfair?
Having 5 members, 6 members.
Russ, I'm not gonna get into this with this.
Good, that's where you're going to speak.
Yeah, I called you that. I'm not even gonna know with you. Not worth it.
So that's how I feel. We need to have something done.
Thank you for your time.
Waste my time.
So as far as voting districts go and all that, that's not.
Under the second
township,
township code, either have a 3-member board or a 5-member board. There are no precincts, as Cody said.
It's entirely.
We would need to have what's called a home rule charter in order to enact a whole new form of government, to accomplish something like that. There's only a few townships in, Chester County that have home rule charters and have precincts like that.
So we'd have to change our whole township
You
to
would.
precincts.
Right?
Well, it is
You would have
precincts.
to enact what's called a home rule charter to do that.
So there would be a member from each member of the precinct.
Yeah.
So there'd be 9 board of supervisors.
You could potentially have it any number of ways, but most townships are second-class townships in Chester County, and there are no boundaries for
Yeah.
voting.
Okay.
No, I just want to clarify
Yeah.
how it works.
And East Goshen works like almost every other township in Chester.
Any other questions or comments?
I would love to make the motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was waiting for you.
At least you're.
The last public comment, I think is long.
Oh, my pen.